AEW and CMLL down in Mexico, Arena Mexico, has been sold out. I'll tell you my thoughts on that, plus some other AEW news, as well as a couple of WWE things that I want to talk about on this episode of Screw the Script. Grand Slam Mexico has officially sold out. This makes it AEW's second fastest selling Dynamite in company history, and this is great news. It's happening here in 2025. I've expressed it before, and I'll say it many times again as I keep hitting these milestones and great achievements and improvements in 2025. It's such a good year for AEW, and you cannot knock them for how good this year is for them, even if you are the most anti-AEW individual out there. They just sold out Arena Mexico. It holds, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, between 16 and 17,000 people. So they sold out 16 to 17,000 tickets in a matter of, 48 hours? I think tickets went on sale this past Friday. And it was reported yesterday, actually, that it was sold out. So it took 48, maybe 72 hours total to sell out. That is extremely impressive for a promotion that's only 6 years old. Had some down, a down year and a half. I'd say second half of 2023 and then all of 2024 was not very good for AEW. But this is, and I'm excited to see it. I'm very excited to watch Grand Slam Mexico. We're going to see, I'm sure, some fun cross-promotion matches between CMLL and AEW. And I just think that going forward, I really think Grand Slam, much like All In, has been in different places now. I think this opens up the door to have Grand Slam in various cities throughout the world. So, yes, I'm very excited for this. I very much feel like AEW has a great future with Grand Slam, having it in other cities going forward. And we'll see what comes of this. We'll see what they're going to do going forward after Grand Slam. You let me know your thoughts down below, what you think about this Grand Slam sellout. And then next I want to talk about other few things in AEW, and then we'll get on to some WWE news as well. We also saw a great uptick in ratings, viewers, and just everything alike for Collision, of all things. Even though it's competing with the NBA Finals right now, or not the Finals, but the playoffs, we saw, and I'll show a photo again on this here, we saw that at least Collision opened up with that Swerve segment and all that stuff, or whenever that Swerve segment had aired on that episode, it drew over 1 million viewers live. And then the show as a whole averaged a little over 700,000 viewers just on cable. Now you add in the Max streamers, who knows exactly where that number lies, but it's going to be over, 700,000, which is extremely good for an episode of Collision during the NBA playoffs. Also some great news for AEW. It really just, proves that this isn't just bias coming from me. It isn't just shit that I'm spewing out of my mouth. The numbers don't lie. Sales have been up for tickets at every venue. They've been selling out, basically every venue. Yes, they moved to smaller venues, but that doesn't matter. They're selling out again. And it's a great look for them on television because you sit and see these unique, fun arenas that are sold out now instead of half full crowds at bigger arenas. And it's smart of them to do that. Tony Khan humbled himself, realized, hey, we're past the honeymoon phase of AEW. We need to, get back to our roots, even if that means going into smaller crowds like they had originally the first year that they were around, and selling them out and putting out good product. And that's what they've been doing all of 2025. They've done really well with the storylines, matches. Every single pay-per-view that they've had so far in 2025 has been a big success, I would say. There really isn't much that has gone wrong in AEW in 2025. If I had to nitpick, It's probably just the Ryan Nemeth stuff that's going on. Those things aside, AEW has had a really, really good 2025, and those Collision numbers proves to you that their B show is even doing much better than years past. And we're seeing now with the reports that came out that I've talked about before, combining both the ratings on TV with TNT or TBS and the Max streams, that they are averaging over 1 million now consistently with Dynamite, which they hadn't done since the first about year and a half, 2 years that AEW was around. So again, great news for AEW. Now for WWE, we'll just get the good news out of the way because there's not much to talk about on my end for that. Solid episode of Raw that happened last night. It was better than the week prior in terms of my likings of a pro wrestling show. We saw 4 matches instead of 3, and the show was like 40 minutes shorter than last week's. So you got more wrestling. You got more of what you paid for to go see wrestling live rather than just staring up at a Titantron or a screen for 2/3 of the episode like last week's was. I can't justify that. And I mean, this right here shows like these were the Mania ticket prices, and that's absurd. And even the most WWE guy there is, still, Randy Orton had this to say.
Surprised me though.
Yeah, they were expensive.
What kind of seats did you have?
Lower bowl, C135 for both nights.
So how far back from the front row?
Not on the floor at all.
Our seats were like what, 30,000?
Yeah.
Randy.
This is our first Mania. I'm like, you know what? Go big or go home.
Embarrassing.
I know.
So much fucking money for a seat.
And then SmackDown and Raw.
I mean, when you have Randy Orton, of all people, in WWE say that they're embarrassed by how expensive ticket prices have become, something's got to change. And unfortunately, Triple H really doesn't have much power in that. I mean, it's all TKO. This is exactly what they did to UFC. I love professional boxing outside of WWE, AEW, like pro wrestling. I love football and things like that. I used to love UFC. Now I find it really hard to watch for the same exact reasons. TKO has over publicized it. Too much promos and ads and celebrity engagement and just hiking up ticket prices in such an absurd way. And this is exactly what they are doing in 2025. And it seems likely going forward for any WWE show. I've said in the past, I expressed ticket prices. I went to Dynamite that was live in St. Paul about a month ago now. We sat 6 rows behind the commentator desk, $100 a pop for our tickets before like taxes and fees and things like that. When Raw was there a couple weeks later, I know it's a different arena. You know, Roy Wilkins Auditorium holds about 4,000 people. Target Center's like 15. To me, it doesn't really matter. Just because it holds more doesn't mean, in my mind, that they're able to charge that much more. I looked up, as close as I could anyway, of tickets that weren't sold already. I think I saw tickets that were like 8 or 9 rows behind the commentator, so actually further away from the commentator's desk area. It was $400 to $500 roughly. So you're looking at paying 4 to 5 times more for WWE shows, and I can't justify that for me specifically. You may be different and your style that you prefer for pro wrestling, but I'm just here telling you now that I do not like the fact that they are charging that much more for less wrestling. And it happened again on Raw last night. We saw 4 matches in about a 2.5 hour episode of Raw. And they do like this trick where like, oh, we'll give them a 4th match, but one of them's going to be 5 minutes. And that's what happened last night. One of the matches last night was very short. It was shorter than it took to go through the entrances and the ad that was placed and promo that was placed in between that. Then the match actually lasted. And that's just, I just feel like fans that are diehards are conditioned to enjoy that. And if you do, great for you. I don't. WWE has evolved plenty of times since they've been around for so long, and they have evolved half a dozen times in my lifetime alone. And what they have evolved to, I'm just telling you, I don't like it. and there's more things that I want to talk about with that. Here's a photo of a new show called WWE Unreal coming out, where they're literally destroying kayfabe, basically. And there's pro wrestling is really like reliant on things like this. And in my mind, having a show where you're just gonna expose everything behind the ring, behind all the, the theatrics that pro wrestling has, and the storylines, all of that stuff, and just be like, oh, Cody's, he's just selling. He's not actually hurt. I don't think you can have both of that and have the way that storylines are presented in WWE now, since they are more sports entertainment focused, and have these guys fight over a friendship bracelet like McIntyre and Punk did, or fight over Paul Heyman between three men, or, just a plethora of examples I can rattle off the top of my head, but that was just two to get my point across. Is like, if you're going to come out with a show that exposes all of that, but then want the fans to just forget that there's a show that exposes all that, and then get behind the coattails of these storylines, it doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. It almost feels like a slap in the face. So I don't like that they're like, hey, we want you to believe in these storylines, essentially, and really just get stuck with them and glued to them and feel passionate about them. But then we're also going to come out with a show that exposes all of that as just like storylines. It's fake, and like, oh, Cody's just selling. Oh, he's not really hurt. Because for a little while, WWE was doing a good job of really making it hard to figure out whether or not something was kayfabe or real. Just last week, some people may have thought, oh my God, did Gunther really choke out Pat McAfee? Is he okay? Is he hurt? When this WWE Unreal show comes out, it's going to show stuff behind the scenes of the two walking behind the curtain, and be like, oh yeah, high five, good segment. You really got me there with that choke. You really made those fans believe that I was hurt. Oh, I was just selling. Nah, fuck that. And then you have something like this that kind of further proves what I'm trying to talk about with this, almost fourth wall breaking between kayfabe and the industry versus all the behind the scenes stuff. You got this person saying stuff like, we're not anti anything, we're just calling out the facts. People get angry and say we're anti this or that, but no, we find faults and spit facts. Well, take that part out, because it's not always super factual. But beneath that, it says, here's today's issue. The problem with WWE's new direction is that they're constantly reminding everyone that everything is scripted. Every match, promo, moment. For weeks now, all we hear is work, kayfabe, fake, not real, scripted. And that's only going to get worse when this WWE Unreal stuff starts airing on Netflix or wherever. They're going to put it, Peacock, something. So when the GM posts videos pretending that Gunther was fined, suspended, or pulled from competition, it just feels like a joke. If you can't see it, then you're in too deep. Come on to WWE. You've already told the audience that nothing is real, instead of keeping a little mystery and making us wonder if a superstar might actually go off script. Because of that, these storyline videos end up feeling pointless, which, to my point, I don't care anymore that Gunther was choking out Pat McAfee if you're going to expose it as just being fake. And then just faking out the fans. We all know it is fake, but there's a difference between keeping the mystique of it and loving it for what it is still, versus having WWE's approach now of just openly admitting to it and still wanting the fans to love it for what it is regardless. I don't like that. WWE is literally killing the product and the entire industry along with it. That's a little too far. I don't think it's killing the entire industry, because again, there are going to be people that are okay with this. I'm just saying I'm not, and this person clearly isn't. Kids believe up to a certain age that it's still real to them. The second you kill that narrative, people lose interest. Now that is an interesting point, because yes, if you are going to have something like that, it's like Santa Claus. I believed pro wrestling was real until I was about 8-9 years old, and then I kind of just put it together that it wasn't, much like Santa Claus. So now, for a company that is PG oriented, family first sort of wrestling approach to their product, to have something like this openly come out, shows like this to have exist, I think it's really going to hurt that as well. And, you know, I could keep going on about this, but that's just kind of another person's thoughts outside of my own that kind of further prove why I feel this way and show in another sense from a different angle, from a different person's thoughts, how I feel about the direction that TKO is bringing WWE. You let me know down below what you think about all of this stuff. This has been Maverick with Screw the Script. Thanks for watching.